This broadcast is brought to you by Colby Brooks with Century 21 Right Pace Real Estate and buyfrombrooks.com. Let Colby Brooks handle all of your real estate needs. Special coverage tonight on NEA Report of the case of the murder of Linda Collins, the former state senator found murdered by her family last year. Now, the capital murder suspect, Rebecca O'Donnell, has been in jail since, but is now facing new charges and is accused of attempting to hire a hitman or hitmen to target several people, including the prosecutor and a judge in the case, and the ex-husband of the victim. We're talking about the ex-judge, Phil Smith. Bombshell new information that has just been released, and we're going to go through it all next on NEA Report.
Now, Stan Morris reporting.
Thanks for joining us on NEA Report. There's a lot to get to in this case tonight, so we're going to do a special report focusing entirely on an update on the murder of Linda Collins Smith and the suspect in that case, Rebecca O'Donnell, who's going to be in the news a lot today, not just local news, but probably the national news before the day's over as well, because she's now facing a number of new charges, including solicitation of capital murder. We're talking about other inmates in the jail saying that she wanted to have several people murdered. The allegations are that she wanted to have Judge Harold Irwin murdered. He's already recused from the case, but he was on it already. And then she wanted to have Henry Boyce murdered, according to the allegations. He was the original prosecutor on the case, although he's not any longer. Perhaps this has some reasoning behind that. The third target that was mentioned, although there actually are four from what I can tell in the probable cause affidavit, but the third, ex-judge Phil Smith. We're talking about the ex-husband of the murder victim, Linda Collins. These are stunning new accusations that are contained in a probable cause affidavit. We're going to go through that now. Here on NEA Report, it was actually filed by an Arkansas State Police investigator, Special Agent Michael McNeil, who said it began on October 24th with a Jackson County inmate, Shayna Hembry, being interviewed by Jackson County Detective Adam Zitzelberger. According to the report, Hembry informed Zitzelberger that Rebecca O'Donnell was trying to hire her and another inmate, Cassandra Jeffreyon, I may be saying that name wrong, apologies if so, to kill Phil Smith. That was the attempt. The hiring for murder was the attempt, according to that. Hembry said that O'Donnell wanted the death of Phil Smith to look like a suicide. She said that O'Donnell wanted her and Jeffreyon, in addition to this, to travel to the Randolph County Jail and blow up O'Donnell's car. That's right, we're talking about destruction of evidence now. They're saying that O'Donnell tried to hire them to blow up any evidence that may be in the vehicle. Now, a later quote in one of these interviews has O'Donnell alleging that police planted stuff in her trunk. We'll get to that in a moment as we talk about this, because there's a lot in this multiple page probable cause affidavit. We're going to go through every line. On November 7th, the Arkansas State Police investigator conducted an interview with Hembry, a second interview. She said that O'Donnell approached her and Cassandra Jeffreyon requesting that they kill Phil Smith. Hembry has been a cellmate with O'Donnell for the past 92 days. Hembry stated that O'Donnell wanted her to go to Randolph County and blow up her 2005 Honda Civic. The words blow up are in the affidavit. Hembry advised that O'Donnell wants the death of Phil Smith to look like a suicide. That's what this says. She advised that the wife of Phil Smith, Mary Smith, was also to be a target in this, was also supposed to be murdered. She states that she was supposed to shoot or hang Mr. Smith, causing his death, and then pack a bag so it looked like Mary was in the process of leaving Smith. Ms. Hembry advised that Smith is supposed to have gold and silver in his home, a large amount, and she was supposed to take that gold and silver for payment for killing Smith, which of course makes you immediately think to yourself, why would she take something she had to steal in a burglary and a robbery to commit, and then a murder also, as payment for something she did? It seems like a very strange plot suggestion, almost as if you're getting someone to do something and then to furnish the payment for it as well. Ms. Hembry advised that another inmate by the name of Rebecca Landrum was also asked by Miss O'Donnell to kill Mr. Smith. On November 7th, a second interview was conducted with Jackson County inmate Cassandra Jeffreyon. In the second interview, they learned a little bit more, not just about what they alleged that O'Donnell did, but perhaps about the situation at the jail. The interview began with Jeffreyon starting off saying O'Donnell approached her and inmate Shayna Hembry, the first person we heard from, requesting that they kill Phil Smith. Jeffreyon stated she would never do what Miss O'Donnell asked, but she was concerned someone else, perhaps a more gullible individual, might do what O'Donnell asked. So Jeffreyon, she's been incarcerated at the Jackson County Detention Center for the past 60 days. She said during that time she was housed with Becky O'Donnell, police confirming that, of course, stating in that time she had come in such close contact with her that apparently O'Donnell wrote a suicide note and turned it over to Jeffreyon. Jeffreyon turned that note and several other handwritten notes over to police that were concealed under her shirt. But here's where the case becomes a little bit more confusing. And we're not sure what the relevance of this part is, but we're going to read it to you anyway because it's in the affidavit. Jeffreyon stated that Emily Loggins, who's the daughter of Tim Loggins, that's the fiance of Becky O'Donnell, who's done interviews with ABC, he says he does not know how Becky O'Donnell could have been guilty of this. It says that Emily was to come to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office and pick up Jeffreyon's cell phone so that Emily could have access to Jeffreyon's contacts and try to use that to bond Jeffreyon out. It says it should be noted that jail documents show Emily showed up to the Jackson County Detention Center on November 1st. She received the Samsung phone belonging to Jeffreyon as well as the phone charger. Jeffreyon advised that she and O'Donnell, and that's kind of where that part of the story ends, so I'm not sure why that's in there, and I know there's some confusion on the other end as well with some of the people involved in this as to what that means, if that's some kind of implication or if it has anything to do with the story, because it doesn't appear to based on the next sentence. Ms. Jeffreyon advised that she and Miss O'Donnell are currently in separate pods, but then she revealed more about how that they're able to communicate with each other, passing notes back and forth, sometimes under the door. Apparently they can slide notes under the door or even talk to each other. And authorities went back, looked at video surveillance, confirming that they did slide a few notes back and forth under the door. O'Donnell appeared to pass several notes to Jeffreyon, and that was on November 5th at about 7:53. So as they're talking back and forth to each other, O'Donnell is alleged to have told her that for killing Phil Smith, she could take his gold and silver at his residence. Jeffreyon advised that O'Donnell told her that her car is being held in evidence and she wants Jeffreyon to blow it up. There's an interesting portion of this coming up. Don't think that the details are done being revealed yet, because there's another wild allegation that you're going to hear in a moment that allegedly, through this affidavit, came from O'Donnell. A third interview was conducted. This interview was with someone, an inmate named Rebecca Landrum, who advised that she spent about 40 days in Jackson County Detention Center, and during that time she came into regular contact with O'Donnell. She stated that O'Donnell approached her on several occasions wanting her to kill Phil Smith, Judge Harold Irwin, and Henry Boyce. Here's the crazy bombshell. She advised that O'Donnell told her that Phil Smith had set her up, but her plan was apparently to rectify it in a brutal way, at least as this is alleged. Landrum advised that O'Donnell told her that Phil Smith needed to be killed and a, quote, suicide note was to be left so that the, quote, charges would be dropped off of her, unquote. O'Donnell also wanted Landrum to make evidence disappear. Quote, make evidence disappear, I should say. Incredible. Landrum stated that O'Donnell told her that Phil Smith currently resides in Mammoth Spring, and that was where he was to be killed, according to the plot. Landrum stated that O'Donnell asked her to locate her car in police custody. This is the second part of the request, and burn it. She advised that O'Donnell's car should either be at the state crime lab, which would be in Little Rock, or in Randolph County. How this person would supposedly gain access to a piece of evidence in police custody, possibly state police custody, it leaves a lot to the imagination. It doesn't say that in here. It just says that O'Donnell asked Landrum to locate the car and to burn it. And she told Landrum, that, quote, police had planted stuff in her trunk. Landrum advised she would be compensated for killing Smith. She advised her, O'Donnell allegedly advised her that Smith had a bag of gold and silver, and she was supposed to take that after killing Smith. O'Donnell told Landrum that the last time Linda, the victim, had all of the gold and silver appraised, it was supposed to be worth between $20,000 and $30,000. Landrum advised that O'Donnell also asked Melissa Dwade to carry out the killing of Phil Smith. Yet another inmate we're talking about now. Arkansas State Police continued their thorough investigation by, on November 15th, interviewing Melissa Dwade. She said she was at Jackson County Jail and while there heard Becky O'Donnell advise or ask Rebecca Landrum if she knew any, quote, Mexican people that would be willing to kill Phil. Ms. Dwade advised that Phil was Linda's ex-husband. Ms. Dwade also said that O'Donnell wanted prosecutor Henry Boyce killed. Dwade stated that O'Donnell wanted her to ask her boyfriend if she would kill, quote, Phil, unquote, and Henry Boyce. Dwade informed O'Donnell she would not ask her boyfriend to participate in a murder. Dwade stated it was at this time when Landrum stated that she knew, quote, some Mexicans, unquote. O'Donnell then asked Landrum if she could get it done. And Landrum said, quote, yeah, I could see about it, unquote. Dwade advised that O'Donnell provided Landrum with a list of names and personal information of certain individuals. Dwade then stated that O'Donnell let it be known that whoever helped her would be compensated. Those are the last words in the probable cause affidavit filed by the special agent Michael McNeil. It was actually filed and signed on January 6th. It was just released today. Region 8 News obtained the report as now there are several new charges that O'Donnell will see herself facing. In addition to capital murder, she's facing counts of solicitation to commit capital murder in violation of the Arkansas Code Annotated 5-110-101. It's a Class A felony. We're also talking about 2 counts of solicitation to commit tampering with physical evidence. That would be a Class A misdemeanor. They're pretty self-explanatory for what those charges are for, right? The first being a felony charge that was for trying to hire someone to murder someone. The second being to try to get someone to destroy evidence. It says 2 counts in the probable cause affidavit, but if you listen, of course, we've heard instances where at least 3 people, as many as 4, have been mentioned as possible targets in these really shell-shocking allegations that have been brought forth today. It's not stuff that we thought would go on top of the other charges, but it's a separate incident, a totally separate incident, that now O'Donnell will face charges for as well. It's something that's said to be under investigation still in Jackson County. According to the information provided by KIT, the sheriff there saying that he's going to continue that investigation. But O'Donnell is already facing the most ultimate form of punishment. She is facing the death penalty. And more charges like this, if they have evidence behind them and evidence based that will be shown, it could be very damaging to the case that's already in the courts. Of course, for a lot of people that have maintained conspiracies, from anything suggesting a larger conspiracy-like plot that involved national-level politicians to other various conspiracy theories that aren't backed by evidence, this is going to certainly clash with some of those because it doesn't make sense. And many people will probably want to know where the involvement is of certain large national-level politicians. That's never been in the evidence. That's never been anything that's been founded. There's been a lot of rumors shared that have been completely unsubstantiated. But what we're looking at now are official court documents. These are based on public record. And what we report will be stuck to that standard. If it's public record, we'll bring it to you. Baseless rumors, not so much. So we'll keep following this case and hopefully find out more information about it. We appreciate everybody for liking, following, and subscribing on NEA Report. Thanks so very much for tuning in. We appreciate you for joining us on our live stream today. We'll be back if breaking news breaks out. Until then, I'm Stan Morris, and you're up to date.